Bonjour à tous. Aujourd'hui, nous jouerons en tant que Bourgogne. Burgundy is an old favorite of mine. Not only do I live right next door to it, and sometimes I go shopping to France voisine because it offers a great variety of pleasantly priced produce, I also love its history. In the game terms, Burgundy can become really powerful really fast. Today, I want to demonstrate how effortlessly we can conquer the world as Burgundy. I will probably do it in one video. And this video will have three parts. Part 1, building the base in Europe. Part 2, crazy tax switching to min-max ourselves for a fast world conquest. And Part 3, quickly wrapping up a one-faith world conquest. I also want to try out one thing which I have never done before, and that is switching to the reformed religion. I have literally never done it, because I've never seen the point of adopting this religion in the game. But I believe it makes a lot of historical sense to become reformed as Burgundy, because Jean Calvin lived right here, in Geneva, next to it. Alright, so that's the conceptual setup. In practical terms, I opened this campaign by going for alliances with Castile, Aragon and Austria. It's not always possible to go for all three. In that case, 2 will be just enough. Austria will usually ally us because we both hate France. Sorry, France. And either Castile or Aragon or both would normally want to grab some land in France. Of course, it always helps to get the religious diplomats, hire a Diplo reputation advisor, and potentially set our relationship towards France as threatened. Our early mission tree is unique and very helpful in defeating France. In the current patch, you can placate your subjects and fulfill this mission simply by taking the strong duchies. This mission gave us claims on the area of Lorraine, which I'm going to use for one of my first wars. For the next mission, which will open a path for us to become a true puppet master, we need to either ally or insult England and France. Allying them is out of question, so we simply insult them. We now have plus 25 relationships improvement for the next 20 years. And we can also take the Relationship Improvement Advisor. Both will be really helpful for our next mission. I was able to complete all my early game diplomatic setup without taking any estate privileges. You may want to take these privileges a bit earlier than I did. I'm taking a standard set for a Christian monarchy. Remember how we got claims on Lorraine, which is part of Provence? I'm literally going to follow the game's suggestion and attack Provence. I don't want to attack France right now. I would prefer them to get a little bit exhausted fighting England. This gives me the time window for Provence. Why Provence as the first war, you may ask? Well, that's because of their mission tree. They have an excellent set of claims all over Europe. Most importantly for me, the southern Italy, and I will want to conquer the full Italy for my upcoming transformations. Actually, I will be forming 2 Italian nations as part of this campaign. It looks like Castile has done some disinheriting. I wonder if we can grab an early personal union on them. While in this war, we need to improve relations with 3 of France's appanages, which is a special type of their subject. This will open a critical new mission for us. Good news, France and England have gone for war with each other over Maine. That's exactly what we need for our early game strategy. We want France to fight England, and we will help France lose this war. Make sure you complete this mission, League of the Public Will, before you take any land from your current war. Otherwise, your aggressive expansion will make the French appanages hate you, and that will delay this mission by a few years. This mission, of course, makes all the French subjects highly disloyal. We have defeated Provence and Lorraine, and as our reward, we make Provence our vassal. We will have a lot of vassals in this opening. All of them will become awfully disloyal. I expect Provence will be our most disloyal subject because it will also be the biggest. I'm going to shamelessly use their mission tree to make them huge. By vassalizing Provence, we have inherited their previous wars. As their new suzerain, we have become the war leader. One war against Brittany and the second one is against the Papal States and their vassals. As you've just seen, I've selected Provence as my first war target because it's quick, easy and offers great benefits. Even though Provence starts allied with France, in these latest patches France never defends them. They hardly ever make any other alliances, and sometimes, if you are lucky, the Pope could excommunicate them. Vassalizing them not only gives you access to their mission tree, it also costs less in aggressive expansion than taking their provinces. One thing to note, after you vassalize them, they will lose Lorraine as their subject. You will not get Lorraine, it will become independent. Okay, I didn't plan on having these 2 wars, and I need to watch my aggressive expansion. I also want to remain friends with the Papal States, because I want to try getting Avignon from them for free. We let the Papal States go for less than 60 ducats. And from Brittany, we take a single province, granting our Provence the sea access in that place. There we go, Provence can have it. You may know that as Burgundy, we will inherit all our subjects in one go after the Burgundian inheritance, that is, all subjects located in the French area as I understand. And I absolutely don't mind feeding my vassals a massive amount of land. Alright, now we are back to the classic Burgundian strategy. I have just seized the province of Rétalois from Nevers. From this province I released Champagne. They have cores on some of France's most developed provinces. Aragon finally agreed to ally me. All of France's subjects are disloyal right now, so if we play it well, we are only going to be fighting the 18,000 of the French proper troops and whatever army Genoa has. And we go to war with France for the province of Nemours. Don't forget that France is also fighting England, who already has landed 20,000 troops on the continent. Even though they hate us, they will be our situational allies. I have two immediate priorities for this war. Priority 1, get Genoa out of this war as soon as possible, and priority 2, destroy the French troops, while ideally not touching the troops of their subjects. That will make their subjects even more disloyal and less likely to fight me. Well, it will also be nice for either Austria or Castile to join my war. You may have noticed that Aragon has just gotten the Alfonso event, meaning Naples has gone independent. Now I want to finish this French war as soon as possible, so I can attack Naples and get them for myself. Please note, I am not putting my active king, Philip III, in charge of any army. That's because I want to minimize his chances of dying in battle. He's a good leader with good stats, and as soon as he dies, we will get Charles, who honestly doesn't come across as the brightest person in this game. We are racing against the clock, without knowing the time of expiration. As soon as Charles dies, the Burgundian inheritance will fire. I want both of my leaders to live long and prosperous lives. I continued carrying favors with my allies, and when Castile got 10 favors again, they decided to join my war. This is also because I have a positive dynamic on my war score. I can only welcome that. France is resisting very well, while Aragon has spent most of this time sieging a single fort. I don't even know how long it took Aragon to siege this fort. They abandoned the siege several times at the sight of approaching French troops. Well, I guess at least they did something. And now Austria also got 10 favors. They're ready to join my war. Why not? The more the merrier. As you can see, we now have a lot of green and blue armies on the map. After Castile and Austria joined us, we are now completely dominating the battlefield. Already 2 of my vassals are disloyal, and I believe soon a lot of countries will be supporting independence of my vassals. That's simply inevitable. Long term, I will not be able to prevent that. However, for now, during this war, I can try to at least make Nevers loyal. They are still outraged after I took a province from them. To make them loyal, we keep developing their remaining province, placating their rulers, and as soon as we have some favors with them, we exchange them for trust. Another way is to pay their debt and simply keep growing, to make our development and army size bigger. After just over 3 years of fighting, we're ready for peace. France is willing to give us 100%. We return 4 provinces to Champagne, 1 province to Provence, and we take 2 provinces for ourselves directly, importantly including Paris. We need that for our awesome mission tree. Our first war against France was a resounding success. We got everything we wanted, we have weakened them significantly, and we advanced our mission tree. On the negative, we took quite a few loans. And on the positive, because 5 of the 6 provinces we took were the permanent cores of our vassals which we reconquered, we did not get much of aggressive expansion at all. We can keep conquering, and that's exactly what we are going to do next. In these opening moves, I am not going to be taking a lot of land directly for myself, but Paris I want to own. And why not Bas-Poitou, just to have more development. Although, I'll give Bas-Poitou to Provence. They can core it. I value my mana points too much early on. Here is the Provençal mission tree we're going to exploit. I want to have high relationships with the Papal States, in the hope this will translate to high relationships with Provence, and I will give Avignon to Provence for free. I'm really not sure if it will work though. And because I gave Provence a lot of development, they have already completed the mission called The Claims of King René, and they now have permanent claims on every province of Naples, which I can use for my conquest. Because this is core reconquest, it will only cost me 25% aggressive expansion. In other words, we continue our very low aggressive expansion growth. I forgot to mention, but the unfortunate Charles is already leading our nation, and we now get this event, a newborn daughter. Her name is Marie. I don't think she will influence the flow of events about to unfold. Her starting claim is average. However, as far as I remember, the strength of this claim will keep declining until she becomes weak. As we wrap up this very easy war against Naples, we fulfill our next critical mission, the King of the Franks. Clicking off this mission will move all the France's subjects to us. Doing it as soon as possible has the obvious advantage that we will be able to move more vassals before France integrates them. On the flip side, this will make all of our vassals massively disloyal. I expect the only loyal subjects after this will be our personal unions, because they assess their strengths against us on an individual basis, not all together like the normal vassals. I couldn't fit one of the provinces of Naples into my 100 war score. I will need to fight them again. And you see, because this was reconquest, although we have taken almost an entire country right next to the Papal States, their relations with us are still just shy of 200. They are still not giving Avignon to Provence though. Just take a look at our situation with subjects. We have 8 vassals and 3 personal unions. We started with those personal unions. Every vassal is disloyal, while every personal union is perfectly loyal and will help us in our next wars. I don't think I have enough vassals. I'm going to make more. Collectively, all these subjects, disloyal as they are, increase my development and relative power in the eyes of all other countries. Small nations will likely be willing to join my growing family. I need to be really careful with my aggressive expansion. I plan to become a subject of France and fight an independence war against them, which gives a lot of aggressive expansion. As such, I want to go for a diplo-vassalizing strategy, targeting minors with 1 or 2 provinces around me. Look, this has started. England is first to start supporting independence of my vassals. They've chosen Nevers, who is outraged after I seized their land. This will continue. A lot of countries will support independence of my many vassals. There is absolutely no way I can prevent it. The good thing is now we have positive income and we are slowly yet stubbornly paying out our loans. For our first age ability, of course, we take the aggressive expansion reduction. And as if to reinforce this choice, we also become the papal controller. This early papal control doesn't always happen in my games, but today we're lucky. Well, this luck was helped by us investing every bit of papal influence into becoming this controller. Per the strategy I talked about earlier, even though I have only 2 diplomats, I am improving relations with lots of minors around me. For my first idea set, I am taking quantity. This is a world conquest campaign. I will need a large army, and I will want to become the military hegemon. Would you look at that? Castile got my dynasty, the Burgundy, and their heir has a weak claim. This is a perfect setup for a personal union war. However, I am allied to them, and it will take 5 years for the truce to expire if I break this alliance now. And honestly, I don't know, will I keep this personal union after the Burgundian inheritance? I did a quick search online, but I couldn't find the info. If you guys know, please share in the comment section. Would Burgundy keep its personal union outside of the French super region? Well, as soon as our truce with France expires, we must attack them. Before our poor Charles dies, we need to conquer as much of France as we can. If lucky, we'll be able to fit in at least 3 wars against France. Aragon had broken their alliance with us, because we didn't give them any land in France in the previous war. But Castile and Austria have both joined us. Thanks to their help, this war is very easy. We can already peace out Brittany, Genoa, for whom we take Corsica for our vassal Provence, and that's the moment our heir Marie decides to go hunting. What a pity. For our peace with France, once again we take most provinces as reconquest of our vassal scores. This is why, despite our active expansion, the coalition is almost non-existent. But all our vassals are raging mad. We keep feeding them instead of taking all this development for ourselves. I'm starting to wonder if they will ever declare an independence war against me. But there is no such war yet, and I'm trying to make even more vassals here in the northern Italy. While we still can, I want to reconquer the one remaining province of Naples. They've managed to ally Florence, which isn't such a big deal. In the result of this war, we fully annexed Naples, and I decided to take one of the provinces from Florence for my vassal Luca, whom I had diplo-vassalized a couple of years ago. That's probably the first suboptimal move from the point of view of aggressive expansion I'm taking in this campaign. We now get a new heir, also Marie, whose claim to the throne is strong, but as we talked, it will decline. Then Mantua agrees to become our next vassal. I have long given up on the diplo points. Until the inheritance happens, we will not get any diplomatic mana. Now, unfortunately, I don't expect Charles to live long from here. I need to start preparing for the inevitable inheritance, so I don't want to start any new wars. All I want to do is to keep diplo-vassalizing the minor nations in Italy. If not for this expectation, I would be attacking Castile to enforce my personal union on them. But in my situation, this would probably be reckless. Well, and here we go. Charles dies. and the Burgundian inheritance events are upon us. We get a new dynasty, Duquesnois. That's completely irrelevant though, because we're not going to remain independent. Our army supports Marie, which is our old dynasty, and we will need to kill them off. And finally, we get the choice of several scenarios. Remain Burgundian, become a junior partner of France, or a junior partner of Austria. The obvious choice, for which we have been preparing since the start of the game, is to become the junior partner of France. Remaining independent will mean we keep all our disloyal subjects and will need to go to war with Austria, I believe. Alright, all our subjects who had their capitals in the French super-region are now integrated, including southern Italy, which belonged to Provence, and we complete a couple of missions, integrating Nevers and uniting our realm. Good, we get some diplomana, which we so desperately need. We are more than 200 diplomana in the minus right now. We are also losing a bit of money if we start maintaining our troops. More than 100 ducats a month to be exact. That's because we have inherited all the forts, armies and navies from our subjects in the past, and we still need to full core our new land, which will be for free. Ah yes, the mission Integrate Nevers basically gives us some claims on Savoy and a part of Switzerland. You see, in terms of subjects, we only have the 4 North Italian vassals left. I was quietly hoping they would also get automatically integrated, but it didn't happen. I've deleted all my armies and navies above the force limit and full stated all my provinces, and after the month tick, we move into the positive financial balance. We can now fight the pretender rebels and prepare for our immediate priority, which is the war against France. We need to declare this war within the year, otherwise France can either release our holdings in the Low Countries or it may declare a war against Austria, which we don't want to fight. And boom, we go against France. Now you probably understand why I didn't attack them when my truce expired. That's because I didn't want to have a truce with them right now. Unlike some people who recommend abdicating at the moment of your choosing, I played naturally. I did not know when Charles would die. In this independence war, we cannot have any allies. That's simply how Burgundy is programmed. In the first year after becoming the French personal union partner, you cannot ask anyone to support your independence. That is, of course, why we had weakened France so much. Maybe the last point to make about the dynamics of this Burgundian inheritance is that we now got a new dynasty. It happens to be de Savoy, and our dynasty is only shared with our neighbors, the Savoy. Unfortunately, what this means is that we can no longer PU Spain. They had remained with our previous dynasty, de Bourgogne. France was allied with Switzerland, whom we get out of the war simply for cash and war reparations. We can fully annex what remained of France's second ally, Brittany, just one single province, and then we go ahead and fully annex the remaining provinces of France. This makes us independent. We are now a free country. You could say we are now France with a better government, and we had expanded a lot in the first 40 years of the game, using almost no admin mana at all. Our aggressive expansion is tolerable because we had mostly grown by reconquering the cores of our vassals. This completes step 1 of this approach. We have gone independent and started creating a strong base in Europe. I'm going to jump ahead to the next step, which is when I convert my religion. As soon as the reformed religion became available, I'm converting my country to it. We will lose 100 prestige, but we will get a center of reformed reformation, and for some reason we will get more than 1000 ducats. I guess that money is in recognition of the fact that we have stopped sponsoring the Curia. For the first 10 years, we'll also have a massive boost to our conversion power against other Christians. It only makes sense for us to immediately become the defender of faith. As it turns out, Reformed is not a bad religion for a world conquest. That is, if you want to have a stable country. Look, it immediately gives you +2 tolerance of heretics, and at full fervor, it gives you -5 years of separatism. Any province you conquer starts with 30 separatism, which translates to +15 local unrest. And by being at full fervor, taking the humanist ideas, the humanist offensive policy, and the government reform which reduces separatism, you can reliably reduce the separatism to only +5, maybe 0 if you do some tax switching, and form Croatia, for example. You can also reliably have any of these focus areas enacted at any time, and depending on what you choose, stability, trade, war or diplomacy, you will make your world conquest easier. With a combination of ideas, policies, monuments, you could have up to 2 of these focus areas enacted at any time. The bonuses are better than the Protestant bonuses, although in my opinion at least, the Catholic and Christian Orthodox religions are stronger in this game. All this is very subjective, of course, and is just a matter of playstyle. My ultimate preference, for example, is the Confucian religion, because it lets you harmonize the whole world without converting anyone. Another quick highlight I wanted to make here is that for the Burgundian mission tree, it makes sense to dismantle the Holy Roman Empire. Of course, you could go for the HRE Emperor, but personally I don't see the point. In this game, I allied most of the electors, attacked Austria and whatever electors were still allied to it, occupied the capitals and dismantled the HRE. There we go, it will now be much easier to conquer Europe without running into massive aggressive expansion issues. After that, I went on a European conquest spree, starting with England. What I usually do is conquer some land, release some vassals which still have cores on the remaining country, and then reconquer the cores of these vassals. This way my expansion is always coalition free. Here, on the British Isles, for example, we can release Northumberland and Wales for the next war. When the coalition finally starts forming, it will be too late, we will simply be too strong for them. In 1630, I felt strong enough to attack the Ottomans. My idea here is to take Constantinople from them and with that, kick off an event chain for them, bringing them into the depths of decadence. I'm a little exhausted, to be honest, fighting these huge Ottomans in every game, but it has to be done. Look, in this campaign, they have expanded all the way from Europe, almost to India in the east. They have a lot of forts. Obviously, it takes a few years to occupy this absolute monster of a country. And when we get 100% war score from them, I almost want to cry seeing how little land we can take. Which is why I don't want to fight them too many times before I max out my admin efficiency. For now, like I said, I needed to curb their expansion and deal them a defeat, so that they start descending into the spiral of decadence. And in 1715, after conquering most of Europe, importantly the entirety of the British Isles and Iberia, we're ready for the second stage of this ride, which is a hullabaloo of tax switching, making our country ridiculously overpowered. We start by clicking off the Crown of Lothair mission and setting it aside. This will give us only 3 months to complete the entire sequence of switching. This needs to be very carefully planned ahead, and I humbly suggest you save your game and back up your save at this point. We will need to shift our cultures a few times, and for that I unstate everything I can. Apart from my provinces with the Neapolitan culture. After that we change our primary culture to Neapolitan, and we unite the two Sicilies. I haven't seen many YouTubers forming this country. I like it because it has a couple of nice missions. This one, ship trade power until the end of the game. This one, -15 liberty desire from subject development until the end of the game. And finally this one, +5 mercenary discipline until the end of the game. The other missions give claims and prestige and some temporary modifiers, and they are not as important. We obviously want to form Sardinia-Piedmont, but because we are an empire-level Italian nation, we cannot shift our culture to Sardinian or Piedmontese. We will need to form something in between. I recommend stating your Saxon provinces and forming Saxony. This will also allow us to form Prussia without further culture shifting. The process is always the same. Promote your new target culture, make it primary, form the new nation. Before starting all this, make sure you have enough diplomatic and administrative mana. Because we have conquered most of Germany, we can simply click off most of the Saxon missions. The most helpful one potentially is the personal union on Poland, or Commonwealth, whichever of the two exists in your game. I don't care about it, because I've been conquering Poland for a while already. By the way, they had grown huge in this game. This mission is meaningful for me though, 10% co-creation discount for 20 years. And all the remaining missions are tactical at best. Yep, this mission gives us the personal union casus belli on Poland, but Poland hates us so much that we will never be able to keep this personal union. It will break off on the death of our ruler. It is impossible to bring the relationships with Poland into positive ever in this game. Many of these missions will give us a lot of extra mana. I need to keep remembering to spend it, for example hiring generals with my military mana. Our next change, to Prussia, requires only one click of a button. I'm taking the Prussian ideas, because they're really good, and it's a fair choice to decide and keep them until the rest of the game. As for the Prussian missions, I want to complete only 2, the Balance of Power and the German Confederation. Altogether, they will give me +8% admin efficiency, of course until the end of the game. All the other missions are tactical. Some of them will make our army stronger, but for that we should have pre-met their conditions. I could have done it if I wanted to be really precise about it, but I don't think I did. The Balance of Power mission is a bit tricky and you may not always be able to do it. It wants you to have both an ally and a rival who are the great powers. This late in the game, it's difficult to have a great power rival. The good news is because we have unstated everything, we can appoint the Ottomans as our rival. That's just another reason why I have kept them quite big. Alright, we keep going. We promote the Piedmontese culture and make it our primary, and we form Sardinia Piedmont, the everyone's favorite toothpaste country. From the mission tree, I won 3 missions, and I have met the criteria for all 3. I think we'll complete most of this mission tree, getting many temporary buffs. Here is the most critical mission here, the Powerhouse of the North. It gives us +5 admin efficiency until the end of the game. Together with the Prussian missions, we have +13. This mission, a center of belief, is great. It will make our conversion stronger, which is meaningful for our one faith attempt. And the third critical mission here is the union with Naples, because it gives -10% diplomatic annexation until the end of the game. It will contribute to us maxing out our diplomatic annexation costs in this campaign. I forgot to conquer the province of Cyprus, otherwise we could have also clicked off this mission. Before I forget, before launching yourself into this tag switch and madness, make sure you have one advisor with the French culture, I think it's called Francien in the game, and another advisor with the English culture. That's needed for one of the English missions we're going to complete. Because we have conquered so many cultures already, that's not an easy task. I had to cycle through a lot of advisors, until I got an Englishman as diplomatic and a Francien as my administrative advisor. Next, we promote English culture, make it primary, and become England. Be careful not to form Great Britain, because that's an endgame tag, and we still have 3 tag switches to go. The English mission tree is massive, one of the biggest in the game, but we're hunting one specific mission. I think it's called the Empire of Europe, which gives us another 5 administrative efficiency. In this first mission, go for the Angevin route, that's the admin efficiency route. And then you want to just keep going down the middle branch of this tree. If you want to be really smart about it, you can fulfill some secondary but nice missions in advance. Those missions may improve your navy, army, and so on. This mission tree will give you tons of mana in all the 3 categories. I am editing it out, but I keep hitting the mana ceiling. I keep dumping my extra mana into developing provinces with the Castilian culture, because next I will form Spain. I just need to make sure I develop Castilian and not one of the many other Iberian cultures. Something happened in this game which I have never seen before. Both my ruler and my heir have the maximum skill set. You'll be pleased to know that my heir died in a hunting accident soon after this. For this mission, Shatter French Nobility, we need to use some of the English government dynamics, and we will need to have a month tick. In our parliament interaction, we need to select the issue for debate, called Curtail French Nobility, and immediately force it through the debate. We will lose 1 stability, and a couple of French noble regiments will revolt. If you want to be prepared, you may want to pre-position a few of your own regiments in France, something which I forgot to do. With this action taken, we can keep moving down our middle branch. For this next block, we must have conquered Iberia, Italy, and a bunch of other provinces. And when we tick off these 7 missions, we can do the Dominate Europe mission and get our 5% admin efficiency. We have already obtained +15 admin efficiency, and after we upgrade the monument in Berlin, it will become +18, thanks to the Prussian Balance of Power mission. The reason we are now getting only 27% admin efficiency from our absolutism is because our government has become the British monarchy. That's why I don't want to remain English or Angevin, and I want to switch to Spain for its amazing first government reform, the councils, that will give us another 5% admin efficiency. So we full state the Castilian provinces, promote the Castilian culture, make it primary, and we form Spain. Hold on, before we form Spain, we can get a lot of diplo and admin mana via passing a few English debates. It's quite easy to do. Choose the debate from the decision menu, go to a parliament, and push this debate through, and then choose the option which gives you mana. Be careful, because you could accidentally release Italy or Ireland as personal unions. After this, we are now ready to click the button to form Spain. I've decided not to form France or Angevin Empire. That's because I am after 10 more admin efficiency, 5 from the Spanish government and 5 from the remaining Burgundian mission, for which I need to become Lotharingia. So as much as I like the fantastic Spanish mission tree, I will not remain Spain. All I want from them is the mission which replaces my current government, the British monarchy, with the Spanish government of the councils. This small branch has all the missions I want, the systems of councils, and Fecho del Imperio. My capital had moved to London, so I had to develop it a bit. So let's see if it works. We now have this punishing government which reduces reduces our maximum absolutism by 30, and when we activate the system of councils, yes, we do get the systems of councils government. Our max absolutism is back to normal, and we now have 3 excellent interactions, which includes 5 admin efficiency at full strength. The only interaction I'm going to use is the leftmost one, because it provides 1 extra missionary. We can now pick up whatever other missions we have completed, including the Tercio government reform. It will give us some nice special troops. After developing some provinces and meeting some easy conditions, I could unlock another dozen missions or so, including Fecho del Imperio, which gives me another golden age. It also gives 25% diplo annexation reduction and 10% governing capacity. It's difficult to find a stronger mission in the entire game, and we can enact the second golden age in this campaign. My first one was during the Age of Absolutism. Alright, I got everything I wanted. My admin efficiency is now 70, I'll get 5 more from the Lotharingian missions, 5 from the Spanish government, 3 from Berlin, 2.5 from the government reform, 5 extra when I become the Roman Empire, and still 10 more from technologies. I am way over the limit of 90, which is where Paradox has capped the administrative efficiency in this game. This means I have a bit of a buffer to change my governments, go over my governing capacity, and overall to experiment. I am now very comfortable to accept the Lothair's legacy and become Lotharingia. This is only temporary, of course, because we will soon become the Roman Empire. My personal preference is for the Lotharingian idea set over the Prussian ones. I'm talking the single player, of course. It gives me 20% co-creation reduction and 1 extra missionary. Both are very helpful to what I'm trying to do. Upon becoming Lotharingia, we got our Burgundian mission tree back, with 3 or 4 extra missions. Those are very nice extra missions, to be fair. The one I want most is the admin efficiency, although cheaper idea cost isn't bad either. I plan to swap out at least 3 full idea sets later on. This completes the second stage of this campaign, the crazy tag switching. We are now massively overpowered, with the maximum admin efficiency, minimal diplomatic annexation cost, and a lot of co-creation reduction, some of which is temporary though. We can easily conquer the remaining world before the 1800s hit. And that's exactly what we did in 1778. Only 63 years later, we annexed the last couple of islands in Hawaii, and the world conquest is done. Here it is, we are the only independent nation remaining, plus our colonial nations of course. Because this isn't a one culture run, I left my colonial nations in place. There was no reason to conquer directly the New World. All that remains to do now is to paint the religious map light blue. For that I've become the theocracy, dropped a couple of idea sets that are no longer needed, and took infrastructure and divine ideas. These actions gave me another 3 missionaries. And in 1806 we completed the One Faith. Actually, one of my colonial nations converted the remaining Anglican province. That's it, there is nothing left to convert. We have achieved all the goals of this campaign. Everything is Burgundy, everything is reformed. We have a peaceful, stable nation with no revolts. I hope you enjoyed this game. I appreciate if you can interact with this video. Like, subscribe, comment. For now, have a great day and see you in the next video.